And
What's the
welcome
point?
back to the Talking Average Fitness podcast. Were you prepared?
No, so I'm always at the same level of prepared as we always are, which is like we've just gotten to a point where it's like just pull the trigger and let's just see what happens. Let's just
Here
see
we
where
go.
we go. Hey, you know,
Well, as busy dads, we don't have the time to think ahead. Um,
no,
no, no, no, of course not. My name, as always, is Sam Burns, and I'm joined by my good friend and compatriot, Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing lovely. How are you doing, Sam?
Doing wonderful, my friend. Doing wonderful. Doing doing the dad thing and doing the fitness thing and
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
the life experiences thing. How you doing?
We're also trying to do the same.
Mhm,
Doing the dad thing, doing the fitness thing. Fitness looks different.
mhm.
Um, I mean, life has been different. It's ever evolving.
Sure.
As we go. It's wild to think about that Jamie's almost one. That's nutty because it seems like it was just yesterday. You were like, I'm having a second baby. Um, but
Jamie's
I've
actually one
learned,
in 2 months.
yeah. Oh, 1 in 2 months. So past one.
Well,
Where
one in a
what am
month.
I
One in a
thinking?
month, right?
What am I thinking? Where am I? Good Jesus.
See,
Um,
that's how fucked it is.
well, so it is because there was like it's for those of you who are not, if you are parents, you know this to be true. I'm sure. If
Mhm.
you're not yet parents, here's a little phenomenon that I learned is that as soon as you have a child, you then enter one of the many glitches in the matrix where time is just like it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fugazi, it's a fairy dust.
Yeah.
It's not on
Yep.
elemental charts. It's not fucking real. Um,
Yeah.
because we'll sit there like we'll get Avery up. She'll wake up from the night, a nap, whatever. She gets up
Mhm.
and she is oh gosh, she'll be 4 months old on the first. So whatever day that is, Sunday, Monday, somewhere in that general vicinity.
Yep.
Whatever day it is the first. Um, and so she'll wake up and her wake windows are usually at about 90 minutes.
Mhm.
And we're like, all right, we got 90 minutes. Like she just woke up, we gotta feed her, and then like let's go do something. Let's like take a walk into town. Let's drive her over here. Let's, get her out of the house, get us out of the house, whatever it is. And then the 90 minutes just gone. There it went, and it's
Yeah.
time for her to go back to sleep again. Like nothing happened. We fed her, and then because she has bad reflux, we have to keep her upright for a
Yeah.
bit of time so she is less likely to spit up.
Mhm.
And so like you feed her, you finish feeding her, you keep her upright, and you're like, all right, let's get ready. And you're like, well, actually, it's like 15 minutes till she goes back to sleep. And you're like, fuck, what did we even just do for 90 minutes? What happened?
Mhm.
Um, time just goes. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Um, but oh well. So yeah, what's new with you? What do you got going on? What are you
You
doing over
know,
there?
kids are. You're right. Like time is a really relative and fluctuating thing, and if you're a parent, you lose time very, very quickly because
Yeah.
there's just your time is spoken for, and you don't know what that looks like until it happens a lot of times.
Hmm.
Um, so the amount of control that I attempt to exert is like, hey, how can I be productive? How can I
Hmm.
continue to like move the needle forward for myself, for my business, for our family? And then
Hmm.
like being deliberate and intentional, and then when it goes sideways, just letting go. And
Yeah.
being like, okay, this is what it is right now. And I have no idea how long it's going to be like this and how long this is going to upset my plan,
Your
you know?
your desire for control.
Yeah, it's it has been an ongoing process
Yeah.
learning how to let a lot of that go.
Yep.
And therapy and Lexapro help for sure. I, I having a therapist and having a baseline like um like Lexapro has seriously bumped up my ability to manage my anxiety and my ability to like let go of things.
Hmm.
Um and and that's huge for me because like I was deathly afraid of anything like that. And so what that means is like on the daily, I have a rough plan for what it looks like. Cause like let's not talk about the business stuff. Let's not talk about the obligations, just food and training, right?
Mm.
Just food and training. It's it's a it's a fucking dice roll. And
Yeah.
and so one of the things I we talked about this before the podcast. I had mentioned previously that I had gone back on the zone diet.
Hmm.
And I did that because it was easier. I like I've got we talked the block chart, like I've got it
Hmm.
on the fridge,
Yep.
and I need something that is quick, easy, flexible enough to allow me
Hmm.
to cool. I've got, 20 minutes right now between this call and whatever thing I'm doing, and like I'm going to train later in the day. I need 4 blocks. All right, that's these things, and I'm picking this thing, pick it cool, put it together, slam bam, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, done. Um,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm very pleased thus far with my results.
I was gonna say if anyone follows Sam on Instagram, you got a sneak peek into Motivateful's new marketing campaign. It's just Sam in a pair of shorts. But like, let's be real here. Anyone that's like been in the fitness realm, whether you've like competed in bodybuilding, whether you've like
Yeah,
tried to bulk up, lean down, like whatever your fitness goals have been at some point, every single one of us, and if you say, no, I haven't, you're lying. Every single one of us has done the bathroom selfie in the bathroom mirror
sure.
because bathroom lighting will forever be goated.
Yeah.
It's insane how like just like the overhead lighting because it's like directly over the mirror, so you get all the shadows coming down, and even a pale,
Hmm.
pasty son of a bitch like myself, you're like, God damn, look at that over here. Every single person that's been in the fitness community, regardless of what part of the fitness community that is, you have done the bathroom mirror selfie. And that's Motivateful's new marketing campaign is just Sam, hashtag dad bod, just
Terrible.
shredded to the bone in his bathroom.
But well,
Looking the best.
I wouldn't say shredded. I will say that like over that.
You're
So
leaner than you were.
I'm looking at my in body data. So February this year,
Okay.
my in body data, I was at 14% body fat, right?
Sure. Hmm.
Most recent,
Hmm.
I'm at 11.9% body fat.
I'll say
And
even like just the eyeball test of that picture, because there was, I think it was you had posted a picture when you were on the your trip with the TGC and you
yeah,
guys were on the beach.
ha,
So you had
yeah,
you had posted that
there's a
picture.
difference.
There is. So you had posted that picture, and then you posted your bathroom selfie picture, and like even just with the eyeball test, I was like, God damn, look at Sam go.
Well, I tell you,
Human.
so, it's funny. You go, musicians know this. Nothing helps you highlight what you want to do better than playing with better musicians, right?
Hmm. Yep.
I went to South Africa, and the TGC team is predominantly male. And one of the
Hmm.
days we're in Cape Town, and an impromptu rugby game got put
Mm.
together. And so of the 24 people, there's like 18 or 19 that are dudes.
Yep.
And all of us ended up like essentially shirtless. And it looks like like in the nicest possible way, it looks like a Chippendales calendar, right? And it was, there was a lot of comments like, we're gonna be attracting a very specific demographic when we post this photograph.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
going into that, it was coming out of the holiday season. It's going, just after the new year. I was
Hmm.
not paying attention to what my nutrition was. Like I was off of my training, and I was not the only one. Um, And coming out of that, me and a couple of the other people on the team were like, you know, okay, so let's be better about this. And
Mm-hmm.
I had gone, from a weight perspective, when was that? February.
I was
I
gonna say
was
this February-ish.
196, yeah, 196 pounds and 14% body fat. And last week, I think it was, when I took that photograph, it was I was 194.5 and 10% body fat, 10.8% body fat. Um, which is actually not the lowest I've been. I recently completed Diesel Day
Yep.
which was ridiculous. When I came back from Diesel Day, I had I had lost
10
three
pounds.
pounds.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was going something just stupid aggressive. Just
yeah. But I was
lost
I was
27
192
pounds.
pounds and nine. I was 192 and 9% body fat, and so like now I'm at like a more reasonable, like I'm floating around like 11, 12, like high tens, high 11s in terms of body fat percentage. Um,
Hmm.
but that's due to getting enough protein and eating an
Hmm.
appropriate amount of calories relative to what I'm doing. And like
Hmm.
for food volume, making sure that it's not just crazy dense food. So like that's the advantage of the block chart is like, I need 4 blocks. Cool. Recently, the kids have been really into strawberries and berries and all
Yep.
this other stuff. So it's like, all right, cool. We'll go to Costco. We'll get a shit ton of fruit, and
Yep.
my breakfast is 4 eggs and an apple and a half cup of blueberries and a cup of strawberries. You know,
Boom.
and things like that done consistently now for for a while have been able to move the needle, and I'm very pleased with it thus far. I'm also pleased with the sustainability factor. Um,
Hmm.
and that's very important. And it's not like I'm not enjoying things. It's getting to be warm weather
Yep.
here. If you know the state of Maine, Beal's ice cream is a Maine state staple.
Yep.
We live just up the road from them. We're enjoying ice cream,
Oh,
and like
yep.
I'm still enjoying ice cream. Um my my body fat percentage is going down. My relative strength is going back up. I feel better about my training, and I'm not living an exclusionary lifestyle.
Mm,
So I'm very grateful
I like it.
that
I like
that
it.
is a thing that is possible, right?
Yeah. We basically kind of traded because I was doing the zone diet and you were like keeping track of macros for a while. And now
Not
you're
when you were
zone
doing
dieting.
zone. When you were doing zone, I was fucking off.
Oh, all right. Well, um, anyways, now you're doing zone. I've like in a similar thing, was just like I'm doing a good amount of training. A lot of it's more
Yep.
endurance based, playing soccer, and I just like felt I was talking to a good friend of mine about this. I was like, I've just been lazy, like just
Yeah.
stop tracking stuff, just like like I was kind of eyeball things and whatever. But then like
Yep.
and I've realized this about myself. Like I'm like I would term it as like addicted to sugar. If there's sugar or
Mm,
sugary things around, like I cannot stop. Like if
yep.
it's not one cookie, it's 10 because it's like if they're there, I'm going to eat 10 of them.
Right. Right.
Just because like I just can't. So for me, like the solution is like I just can't like I don't know how to and I'm sure there's like something we could dive in here like
Mhm.
psychologically or physiologically or whatever on this, but I'll say it is like I am not very good at moderate like having things in moderation. It's like I can't be like, oh, let me just like log the cookie and that's 150 of my calories and then move on with my day. It's like, yeah, go ahead.
If you're asking a drug addict and alcoholic for advice on
Yeah,
moderation,
I'm not asking for advice. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it. Um, so I'm not very good at that, and so it just turned into like when I started the season, I was just under 200 pounds. I had lost like 12, 15 pounds from
Mhm.
where I was competing in CrossFit to like the start of soccer season, and that was over the course of multiple months.
I was
Um,
going to say, what's the
and
timeline
so
there?
I can't remember.
Mm.
Uh, it's like 6 months, 7 months ish,
Yep. Yep.
somewhere in that range. So yeah, it was over a course of multiple months, it was like 15-ish pounds, give or take a little bit down. And I started the season at like 197, 198. was my body weight.
Mhm.
And over the past, say, probably like month or two, um, it's been paying less attention to the nutrition, still training, still going about everything as I would work, life, whatever, but like just not really paying attention, not really caring what I was eating and just being lazy, if I'm being honest.
Mhm.
Um, and I sat there, I was like, I should probably get back on the nutrition train. Let's weigh myself and see how we go. I weighed myself and I was 206, and I was like, son of a fuck. And so I sat there, and so in my head I was like that would suck if I put on, doing math in my head, like 9 pounds of body fat from where I started the season. Like that would really suck.
Okay.
Because there's a whole bunch of progress gone. Um, but I was like, I've also been eating like an asshole. And so like I deserve it. But like let's see if we can get it back down. And so like I literally, this was on Monday this past week
Mhm.
that I was like, we're gonna dial this shit back in. We're gonna like get my fire up chronometer, get those numbers back going, and we're gonna like weigh and measure stuff again
Mhm.
and stick to it.
Yep.
And I weighed in this morning at 199.2. And it's not like an aggressive reduction in calories, which is like leaves me thinking like a lot of that was I was just eating so much sugar. Like a lot of that was probably just inflammation of like just things got puffy, just more fluid everywhere because I
Yeah.
was again eating like an asshole. I didn't just
Yep.
lose, again, math 206, 199. I didn't just lose 7 pounds of body fat in
Yeah.
4 days. Like
Yeah.
like maybe a little bit of body fat for sure, but like a chunk of that has been inflammation from just me eating like an asshole.
Yeah.
And it's wild, like even in 4 days, how much better I feel just physically,
Yeah.
how much better I'm able to sleep in the time that we're able to sleep with a baby. Um,
Yeah. That reminds me, I gotta
and
check my sleep data.
yeah, and so like it really is wild, and it makes me think like why did I let myself just be lazy? You know, like what knowing, and this is a question that you could ask to a lot of people, like why, knowing that you're going to feel better, look better, perform better, sleep better, like
Why not?
why do I let myself, what do you mean why not? No, I mean like why do I let myself like go the other way? Like I'm just gonna eat like an
Right.
asshole and just like undo all of that. I don't know.
I I think this is I think this is a worthwhile discussion. I
I
so
think so. That's why I asked the
I
question.
well, I mentioned that I completed Diesel Days recently, and
Right. I want what, so can I like, is it a secret like what you do on Diesel Day? Like you have to go sign up and you gotta throw down to like know what, can you give me like a, how long is it first and foremost? Is it 24 hours?
so I can sketch the edges. I can't.
Yeah, give me like a rough
Yeah, yeah,
blueprint.
like, and I can do that without disclosing anything. That's not a big deal. Do you got to go do that? You got to take care of that?
No, no, Sammy's got her. She just woke up. I just held her for a almost 2 hour nap. So
Okay, just making sure.
Sammy's got it. Yeah, we're good.
Um,
She's just cranky
so
because her day is all thrown off.
yeah, there is that. So the
Yeah.
way it so the way it works is Diesel Day. If anyone has never heard, Diesel Day is an event run by a guy named Brian Chantosh. Brian Chantosh, colloquially known as Tosh, is Nicole Carroll's longtime partner, um, and former CrossFit Seminar staff. Is former Marine Company commander, so like high level officer in the Marine Corps, um,
Hmm.
and also a like world championship level endurance athlete, like a no fuck around. I'm gonna go do insane shit at a world class level. Case in point, he and three other absolute savages rowed a boat across the fucking Atlantic last year. Like
Yeah.
they electively, you know.
Yeah. Just like
So
let's
like,
go, dude. Did you hear the one where he ran on a true form in a storage container
yes,
in pitch black for like 24 hours?
yes,
Something stupid.
yes. So like,
It's like
this
sensory
is
deprivation running.
this is
It's
that
like
guy.
it's like it reminds me so much of like just slight tangent, like reminds me so much of like a David Goggins type dude, but like less. I don't want to say like less loud, but like less
Yeah,
loud, I guess I'll say,
yeah,
than Goggins, because like a lot of people, if you mention, even if they're not like a fitness person, if you say David Goggins, like, oh, that crazy motherfucker.
yeah,
Most people outside of the CrossFit space might not know who Tosh is.
yeah. I would say that there's a majority of people inside the CrossFit space who don't know who Tosh is.
Right.
Um, I think that it's anyway. So that's kind of his background. So the Diesel Day is a 24-hour endurance event, right?
Hmm.
What you
Gotcha.
do is not important so much as understanding that it is an exercise in um, learning about yourself and your limits,
Hmm.
um, how much of them are self created, and
Most.
then really the event itself is 24 hours of practice. It's a very acute opportunity to practice what he talks about. And there's a bunch of stuff that I can't talk about because not because it's secret, but because like people pay to go to this event. And so there's intellectual property.
Right.
In the same way that I can't tell you what's on the test for the level 3, I
Right.
I would not do that. And like honestly, like I wouldn't do it justice. Like he's
Yeah.
it's an excellent experience.
I'd love
I
to do
can't
it
tell
one
you,
day. Go
huh? Yeah, you should.
do it. I would love to. Yeah.
It's definitely, yeah, and it's not one of those things where it's like there's a physical prerequisite. It's not like that. They take care of you.
Mm-mm.
It's a solid operation that they got going on. One of the things that I believe I can share that I don't believe it's part of the IP is this notion that your mind is wired for survival, safety, and comfort in that order, right? So at your
Yeah.
deepest, gene deep level, you are wired to keep yourself alive,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Slightly less severe than that is the need to keep yourself safe, and then
Hmm.
less severe than that is the need to keep yourself comfortable. So
Hmm.
this comes in when we start talking about things like, why do you fuck off? Why do you fuck off and eat like an asshole? Well, your mind is coming out of left field with a bunch of things, being like, hey, listen, I know, and you know, and everybody else knows that not having ice cream is going to make it easier to, you know, look a certain way, feel a certain way, perform a certain way. But hear me out, ice cream's pretty awesome, right? And so, like, that is your mind proposing, hey, let's do something that's comfortable, right?
Hmm.
And it's a depending on your practice with it, it's harder than some things to convince yourself, no, I'm not going to do that. And it's not like it's uncomfortable to not eat ice cream, but it's an example of something like that. Another
Hmm.
example would be a
Yep.
CrossFit workout, right? It's easy to be like, no, I'm going to take it easy in this workout. It's
Yep.
you can convince yourself to not take it easy and to seek intensity. And we know intensity is
Hmm.
where the results are, right? But
Yep.
your brain will try to be like, no, 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 don't do that.
Don't do that
Um,
thing.
and so the easy, simple answer to your question of why do I do that is because that's how we're wired. Like we, I mean, I'm going to make a statement in no way founded in any kind of education in terms of sociology or anything like that, but it would
Those are
seem
my
reasonable
favorite
to
statements.
completely unfounded.
Yeah.
It would seem reasonable that at the root of human civilization is the need to make trying to live easier and suck less. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like there's a
Um,
baseline level of difficulty and danger that our ancestors existed at, and then when they got into a group, the baseline level of difficulty and danger came down a notch because the load was distributed. And then as the group got bigger and there was commerce and now we could plant things and I could trade for this, the danger got less and less and less. And of course there's wars and famines and, animals can still
Some
eat each other.
curveballs thrown in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
droughts and whatever. But at the same time, like all of human advancement has been a progression of how do we make this easier?
Hmm.
So I would say that you're wired by default to not do the hard thing. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of questions that you can ask. And the first is, um, what's the danger in doing the hard thing?
I mean, there is none. If the hard thing is, if we're gonna keep using the ice cream example, the hard thing is the not eating ice cream. There's no
Yeah,
danger, there's no risk, there's no harm, there's nothing that's gonna happen. Um,
right.
I think when it comes to some food things, there also is like the extra wrinkle of like the effect that some of these foods have on your brain and
For
how
sure.
that can, like um, make you feel the different hormones that release when you eat something that's both high in sugar and high in fat is a
Yeah,
quite the combo, the 1-2 punch.
yeah,
Nutritionally, I don't know, lack of discipline on my end,
yeah,
for sure. Like I won't say I'm not without fault here. It's not like I do everything perfectly and then just it's something else's fault. Like no, like it's my fault. It's me that was okay for that period of time for and it could have gone longer if I didn't have a moment of like, hey, let me pull my head out of my butt and start focusing on
yeah,
these things again.
yeah.
Like it could just keep going, but it's me being okay with doing like eating those things.
Mhm.
And it's like for me, usually the nutrition is the first place to suffer. If
Sure.
things are like if something is starting to get scrapped, like you basically have. Um, I loved the way I was listening to like when you mentioned stuff about Tosh, and I like said something about Goggins. I've listened to a couple of his podcasts just because I'd seen a good amount of him like just on social media, but like didn't aside from the fact that he just like in my mind I was like he just caused himself pain just for a giggle. Um,
Because we're talking about Goggins.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like I wanted to kind of learn some more or hear some more about him, so I listened to some podcasts. And he had a great analogy where he was like, think of your brain like a garage. And he was like, when you walk into most people's garages, there's just shit everywhere.
Mhm.
Like there's boxes over here, there's a whole bunch of crap over here, there's old this over there, there's two cars shoved in there, kids shit all over the place. Like it's just a mess. So when you're thinking like, oh, like where's my bike? I can't
Yeah.
remember the example he used. It was like, where's my bike? You don't know. You have to try and dig for it. It takes effort to try and dig for it. Like you might give up, you might find it, you might not. Like because you're having to try and sort your way through all the shit. He was
Yeah.
like, it's the same way when people are trying to find discipline. Your brain has all these different like things and emotions and thoughts and feelings and whatever that's up there. And if it's like a garage and it's incredibly disorganized and all cluttered and has all this shit, when you're like, where's the discipline? It
Right.
takes more effort to try and find it if your brain is all sorts of cluttered and shit.
Sure.
He's like, so if you can every once in a while, like whatever, like he was kind of advocating for like meditating.
Mhm.
Um, he was like, if you can, at whatever interval works for you, do a spring cleaning on
Mhm.
your garage and sort everything and
Mhm.
put things back where they're supposed to be. Then when you
Mhm.
need the discipline, when you're like, where's discipline? Ah, right there.
Right.
And it's just you've got it and you can kind of stick to it. And he was like, and it's different for each person, like what interval you need to clean the garage at.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought that was like kind of is a cool analogy because when you have other things going on and you're busy with life,
Mhm.
so, like sometimes things have to give or things do give. Maybe like have to give isn't the right words. Um,
Mhm.
but for me, it's usually the nutrition. It's usually I'm gonna do the thing that's easiest. I'm gonna like rather than make myself a snack, a meal of some healthy configuration. I'm
Right.
just going to grab the bag of whatever it is in the cupboard,
Yeah.
um, and rock and roll with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just that's for me, that's what it is. For some people, it's the working out where they're like, I just, they haven't been to the gym in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, because they're like, that's just
Yeah.
what went.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So I just kind of like that analogy of your mind being the garage, or your life being a garage. You can like organize things because I think it can be. That's why I like routines, because I think it's easy to stick to things if you kind of build it into your routine and make it your. You don't have to think about, you know, what am I eating if
Mhm.
everything's meal prepped and in the fridge. There's nothing to make. It's like you just toss in the microwave for 90 seconds and you've got breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or if you have, your big blown up poster sized block chart on the fridge and Sam opens it and goes, I just got this, and done deal.
Right.
Like it's easier to stay disciplined and stay with something if you have things built in to take the thinking out of it, or take the struggle, whatever it is, out of it.
Sure.
So like for me, like, you know, I enjoy training. It's something that I want to do, something that I for me need to do to not
Mhm.
only stay sane, but also like it's a thing for me.
Mhm.
Like I tried working it into the day when there's
Mhm.
like, work and a baby and a this and that. No, it doesn't work that well. And so for me, it's like, well, it needs to happen. So rather than like having a having a gamble, and I've gotten better at not freaking out or not, feeling some sort of way. Like if I miss a workout, if it's like, hey, the day just went to hell in a handbasket and I rode right down with it,
Yeah.
um, and didn't get a training session in, I'm much better now than I was, like
Yeah.
2, 3, 5 years ago about missing a workout. But it's like now it's like I gotta make it prioritize it. And so it's like it's me getting up before Avery, before work,
Mhm.
doing my
Mhm.
best. There are still days where it's like, gosh, like it was a rough day yesterday. I'm just gonna, sleep in and we'll see if we can make it work.
Yeah.
Sleeping in being 6:30 because 6:30 is when Avery wakes up.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it's like it's the 5 a.m. workout club is got to be the move, because that's the time where it's like, okay, I've got 90 minutes to train, degross myself, and then be ready for Avery waking up, um, so that we can go on with the day. And I don't know, like having it set as like that's the time for me to train makes it easier to stick to, because it's not like, well, let's just see when we can make it happen. It's like, nope, happens at
Sure.
5 a.m. and
Sure.
let's, I don't know. I feel like I just said a lot of things without a whole lot of direction going to it,
Well,
but hopefully it made somewhat of sense, like just kind of like talking through my life.
well, it does make sense, and there's a out of this, there's a bunch of questions we can ask, right? So the initial question is, what's the
Sure.
danger of doing it, right? So in this particular case, our example is ice cream. What's the danger of eating ice cream? And you're like, yeah, not much.
Of eating
And
it
you
or
could
not eating it?
extrapolate eating it.
Oh, the danger of eating it is like down the road if I continue to eat it just like gluttonously. I don't know if
Well,
that's a word, but
well,
it is
so
now.
you you can extrapolate it out.
Hmm.
It's not too far. Like ice cream is a small thing.
Right.
Eating or not eating ice cream. And the real question is that aligned with who you want to be? Right. And it doesn't have
Right.
to be an all or nothing. It can be a more often than not. Am I doing it more than I'm okay with? And so the risk is a double-edged sword, right? Like, um, how risky is it to attempt this action, right? How risky is it to attempt training and eating well? How risky is it to um, attempt being the best and highest version of myself, right? The other side of that is, what do we risk if we don't?
Hmm.
Like, what could be lost or willingly sacrificed that is costly if I don't do this, right? So like, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm I'm going to sacrifice a little sleep. I'm going to sacrifice some time. I'm going to sacrifice um, some comfort. But if I don't do this, maybe not immediately, but certainly sooner rather than later, and definitely down the
Mhm.
road, I'm going to lose something that is fundamental. I'm going to lose something that is important and something that is going to be costly.
Mhm.
Um, and that could be any number of things. It could be I lose my health such that I become a diabetic. It could be
Yep.
something less tangible and I lose my sense of self. I
Mhm.
I feel like I've gotten away from the person who I want to be.
Mhm.
And a lot of this has to do with intention. Like, who do you want to be? Which is a pain in the ass because no one wants to ask those questions and no one wants to think about them and try to be deliberate. It is easier, again, going back to seeking comfort, it's easier to be mindless. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a blanket statement, and I
Go
don't
for
think
it.
I'm wrong, but I also acknowledge that like it might piss a bunch of people off. Most people are more mindless than not when it comes to
Yep.
things
Yep. I
because
I agree.
it, it's
So
easier.
I can join in the pissing people off. Um, yeah, it's easier to be mindless, to like always be like at least in the now comfortable, right? Like if you choose the let's paint a picture, you've
Yep,
got two different people.
yep,
One person seeks discomfort through
yep.
lifestyle choices,
Short-term
training,
discomfort.
nutrition. Yes.
Yeah,
Um, what did I say? Just discomfort
you just said
or
discomfort,
short
but
term?
you know,
Okay. So yeah, but short term is more accurate. So short term discomfort through lifestyle factors of
mhm,
training, nutrition, sleep schedule.
mhm,
Um, because like you're probably not going out for drinks on Friday and Saturday night and burning it down till 3 a.m. Like you're going to bed at 9, 10 p.m. so you can get up the next day and all that fun stuff.
right?
Yeah. Um, so
Yeah,
like you're choosing short-term discomfort, physically, mentally, emotionally.
right.
The other person is choosing short-term comfort
Yep,
in the sense of like, I'm not going to train because that shit hurts. And
sure.
I'm not going to, sacrifice the time doing extra cooking. I'm just going to do Uber Eats 5 nights a week, 7 nights a week, whatever it is.
I
Um,
would love that.
and like that, wouldn't that be great?
It'd be so
Um,
great.
it'd be amazing. Uh, but it's like I'm not gonna train. I'm not gonna eat the
Yeah,
way that that I know that I should. I'm gonna stay up just scrolling Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever for hours at night. Like you're choosing those things that kind of like just give those little dopamine hits in the brain,
mhm, mhm,
and you're choosing those things. As life progresses, the person who chooses the short-term discomfort is going to be set up for long-term comfort in the sense that they're going to live a life that is hopefully productive, but we're going to assume productive based on the type of person they are, that is productive, healthy, happy, and fulfilled because they're
yep,
kind of filling all those cups as they go. And the person who chose the short term comfort, making things easy in the short term, is setting
mhm,
themselves up for long term discomfort because this person is setting themselves up for all sorts of metabolic disease, potentially dying early, um,
yep,
like not being able to move or get
mhm,
around because
mhm,
either their musculature can't support what they want to do, their joints don't move through a full range of motion anymore,
mhm,
uh, or they're overweight to the point of like they physically can't do it,
yep,
or some combination of all three. Um, and it's like the harsh reality of it is like those are kind of your two choices, and they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and there's a whole spectrum in the middle there
yep.
that you can fall into. You've got if you got on the one side, you have the dialed in human weapon.
Marcus
On
Phillip.
the other side, yeah. On the other side, you have the opposite of that. And it's like there's a whole bunch in the middle that
Yep,
like are dictated by your choices. And I loved the guy James Smith. He is on social media. He's an Australian personal trainer,
Mhm.
who's hysterical. And he was like, if you're all the way on the dialed in side, that kind
Mhm.
of sucks because like you're just so regimented. You can't go out with your friends for a beer. You missed three of your friends' weddings because it didn't line up with your sleep schedule. Like it like that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
He's like on the other end also sucks because you can't breathe, you can't move, you can't do anything. You're going to be on medications and all this like that. That's also sucks. He's like,
Yeah.
so everybody kind of has to find somewhere in that middle of the spectrum where
Yeah.
it works best for them. This is the the level of health. I was trying to find a more eloquent way to say that, but the level of health
Mhm.
that I'm good with in terms of like blood panels, metabolic health, all that fun stuff. This is the level of performance, strength,
Mhm.
speed, like to go down through the 10 general physical skills that I want to be. This is like a physique or a physical appearance that I'm good with.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like once you kind of hit that, and then a lifestyle as well, like when it comes to sleep schedule, but also or activities that you want to do, extracurriculars that I'm good with. Once you kind of find that balance point of those things, like that's where you want to chill.
Yeah.
Um, and when James was going over it, that this personal trainer on Instagram, he was like, I like beer and I like cereal. He was like, I don't want to give up my beer or cereal. And he's like, because of that, I have to be okay with the fact that I'm not going to look like Chris Hemsworth when I take my top off. He's like, there's like the if I want to look like Chris Hemsworth when I take my top off, I have to give up the
Yeah.
beer and cereal. And it's
Right.
like, so you kind of have to find your happy place, so to speak, um, and with what you want to do and what you want to try and achieve. And that's hard because sometimes we want to tell ourselves like you get a good feeling when you put something out there.
Mhm.
Like even if you haven't accomplished it. If I were to say, Sam, I want to go run a marathon. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the Boston Marathon next year. I'm doing it. I'm gonna start training. It's gonna be great. Like just me putting that out there and saying that to Sam, like registers an emotion, a feeling in my brain that is almost identical to me having completed it already. And so some people will like kind of like, oh well, I want to look like Chris Hemsworth. I'd love to look like Chris Hemsworth. Like, well, do
Yeah.
you really? Because what that takes isn't easy. And if you do really, we've had this conversation when it came to like competing at the CrossFit Games. It's like
Mhm.
people be like, I want to go to the games. Do you? Do you? Because that lifestyle is different, and
Yeah.
requires a different type. It requires a different type of person to go and do that. And not saying you can't do it because you probably can but you have to fully give yourself
Mhm.
to this lifestyle and this idea and this goal
Yeah.
if you want to do it. And that comes with greatness in anything. If you want to be the best in the world at whatever it is you want to do, you want to be the best lawyer in the world, like say goodbye to sleep because you're going to be at that firm from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. almost every day for a while to be the best lawyer in the world. And I don't know.
I think, first of all, I appreciate that you said there's a spectrum. And like, so
Hmm.
when I make a statement like most people
Hmm.
are not as aware, most people are unaware rather than not, right?
Yep.
I mean that like on the spectrum of I'm a monk and I'm totally aware all the way over to I walk around in a drug induced haze, right?
Yep.
Most people spend most of their time, their waking hours, in a place of reaction. I am
Hmm.
I experience something, I react. I experience something, I react. There's less intentionality. And there's a spectrum to all of that. And that's not to say that I've got it figured out and I live a fucking
Yep.
monkish life. Like it ebbs and flows. And
Hmm.
how I am emotionally and what my stress level is and how much I've slept, like all those things can affect it, right?
Hmm.
When we start to look at the what do you want? The Chris Hemsworth, right? Like fucking Chris Hemsworth doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth most of the time. The dude got
Nope.
juiced to the gills and worked his arms like nobody's fucking business to get
Yep.
yoked for the last Thor movie, and it showed. He was yoked.
Yeah.
And then when
He
he
was
was done,
massive.
oh, he was so huge. When he was done, he stopped doing that because it's not
Yeah.
fucking sustainable, right? And
Yeah.
like,
I still
you
remember
know,
this one interview where Zac Efron was talking about getting ready for when they did the Baywatch movie.
yeah,
Um, and like he was supposed to be like not super jacked, just like absolutely shredded.
yeah,
Um, and he was like the diet that he had to do to be on that. He was like it was like so much chicken. It was like just the stereotypical like chicken, rice, and broccoli, like chicken, rice, and
yeah,
broccoli. He was like 8 times a day, and he was like he was like I got tired of just the act of chewing, like
yeah,
the act of just actually eating. I got sick and tired of, and so he put the chicken breast in a blender and would blend it and drink it just so he didn't
ugh,
have to chew,
yeah.
because he has to get it down because you're getting, he's got to look that way for those scenes, and he's like, it's not sustainable because he was like, even like within the days of the shoots for those shirtless scenes, he was like, I couldn't even have like fruit around
Yeah.
there because they're like, it's too much sugar to, like, you're gonna hold on to some sort of fluid. It's gonna make you look a little bit puffy. So you like you're just, he was like, it's not good.
Well, Hugh Jackman, for when he was Wolverine,
Yeah,
he would
yeah,
regularly talk about like he would like all the shirtless scenes are prepped. Like they know they're
yep,
set on a calendar. So he's got
yep. This date,
weeks
yep,
leading up, right? Drop body fat, drop body fat, drop body fat. Day of, no water. He's completely
yeah,
dehydrated. In
yeah.
fact,
Water cut,
he would do water cut and then he would have a glass of wine on the set to
yeah,
further
fully
dehydrate him.
dry, yeah, fully dry you out. Oh yeah,
Absolutely. And like
100%. That's
that's
an old school trick
insane.
right there.
It-
Yeah,
it's
it's
like we are not advocating that. Do not do that, right?
no, no, do not do that.
The
Um,
the point of this though is that
yeah,
like
it's not
and we've
real.
talked
Like what you
before,
see
AC
those guys look
Sinkowski,
like, it's not real.
exactly. It's not real and
Not at all.
moreover, there are diminishing returns on attaining perfection. And
Yes.
you are not a bad person if you have ice cream. You're a normal human
Nope.
being. You're not a bad person if you haven't got your morning routine wired. You are a normal human being. You are not a bad person if you um, fluctuate what you eat, when you eat, how often you work out, how long you work out. You are a
Yeah.
normal human being, right?
Yep.
I am I like I can I'm very fortunate to be in a position where one, I work from home. And so
Mm,
I don't have a commute and then hours away from the house that like my time is not my own, right?
mm.
Two, I have a fairly well equipped home gym. And that's been a many year cycle
Say, say
of
very well equipped home gym.
a very well equipped home gym, right? So like I
Yeah.
don't have to go to an affiliate. I have an affiliate in my garage. And
Yep.
I am very grateful and very lucky to have the education and the experience to be able to do for myself, right?
Mhm.
And to hold it against someone who doesn't have all those things working for them is, you know, it's like an emotional crime against humanity. Like you don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think as a general statement, you will never go wrong trying to bring more intention and traction into your life one little bit at a time rather than allowing yourself to be pulled into distraction, right?
Mhm.
And if I mean, we've been cracking on this for 50 minutes. If I was going to put a button on this for
Mhm.
myself, I mean, I've titled this episode "Real Life Fitness and Nutrition." Right?
Mhm.
You're the old Stoic concept of what can I control, what can I not control. You're never going to control everything. You can only control how you act, how you react, your thoughts and emotions. You can't control the first thing that pops into your head, but you can control how long you entertain that thought. Right?
Mhm.
That is a forever ongoing process. The fact that you might be trying at all, wherever you are in that journey, means you
Mhm.
win. There's no point when you get to stop doing that because like you've got it fucking wired. Never the case. Your brain will always try to convince you to step away from whatever you're doing and to seek comfort, right? And
Yep.
so
Mhm.
if you are trying, you're winning.
Yep. Yep. And you'll get there eventually. Um,
And,
I
and,
think just to kind of like
and there's no there,
add
you'll keep
well,
improving.
you know what I mean. Like, God damn it. There was always one time per episode where I say something that's not 100% accurate. Sam gets all hot and bothered about it. There
I
is
know
no
what
there. There just is. You're going to keep
exactly.
going into the forever distant horizon.
But I highlight those
But
things. I highlight those moments
yeah,
because it's those
no,
little
I know.
things that are
Yeah,
insidious and that hold people back.
I know.
And yeah,
Yeah, there is no there. Um, I get you. It's just funny to me. I just get a kick out of
there
it.
is no spoon.
Um, like, um, I think like again for to like put a button on, I'm gonna come back to like using Goggins' analogy of like your brain as a garage.
Mm,
Like rather than trying to, just to make it again sustainable and doable, instead of trying to do an entire deep clean of the garage all at
mm,
once,
yep.
clean one quarter, get that organized and squared away. Sweet. Next, clean the next bit of floor, get that tied up and squared away. Sweet.
Yep.
Then install a bike rack and put the bikes in the bike rack, get that squared
Yep.
away. Like, just take it kind of like step by step and, just work your way through it. I like systematically, I guess is the word that popped into my head. Kind of just like work your way through it, picking one thing at a time that you can do. Because if you try
Mhm.
and go everything all at once, full throttle, it's going to be very difficult. Not saying you can't do it because you probably can. Not you probably can. You can. It's just going to be way harder to check all the boxes of everything that you might need to change or do all at once,
Yeah.
you know, than to like just kind of fix some little things along the way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, last thought is so like, what is, we know you're doing the zone diet. What are you doing for fitness at the moment?
Uh, I love Marcus Filly's functional bodybuilding. Um, I
Uh-huh.
will I will intersperse some CrossFit.com workouts. Um, I the Instagram algorithm has been feeding me a lot of Mike Menser bodybuilding stuff,
Okay. Yeah.
and this guy. How much I don't know if how much you have digested any of that.
Not, yeah, not a huge amount, but I know where enough to be dangerous.
His whole thing was like overtraining. Like every set should be done to failure. Like every exercise should be done to failure. Ideally
Yep.
in a single set, and anything more than that is overtraining. So like the perfect set of anything is like 6 to 10 reps, one set, done to failure, done. Rest 2 days. Like, and so like it in the Arnold era, guys are training, 2 hours a day, several days a week. His total training volume is 2 to 3 hours a week. Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I've been working into the functional bodybuilding stuff, and Marcus Filly is really, really great with, very smart programming, very, very deliberate stuff is whatever is the last set of whatever is I'll go to failure. And then like the failure is like working really hard for 10 to 15 seconds. So today was pull-ups, it was multiple sets of pull-ups. When I get to my last set of pull-ups, I know it's going to be my last rep. Cool. Last rep, chin barely above bar, hold. And just keep holding, and just keep holding, just keep holding,
Ooh,
just keep holding, just keep holding,
yeah,
just
just
keep
shoot
holding.
down tension at the oh,
And if it's bench press, like
gross.
you go till it's really, really hard, you bounce that bar comes off your chest, you know you're not going to make it, and it doesn't matter. You've got to continue to work. You've got to have that 8, 10, 15 seconds of time under tension on that last rep to really make sure it's actually failure. Um, and that's a very small change that, from a feeling standpoint, is
Bruh.
yeah. So like
Jesus.
I the first thing I did today, it was he does upper lower splits. It was 3 sets of pull-ups under tempo, superset with tricep extensions. And so, all right, my pull-ups, because I'm going like each set I took to failure, and then tricep
Mhm.
extensions. The last one I get down and I'm like, fuck, my lats feel puffy. Like you can feel it in your body when you do it. It's no longer a question of like, um, oh, that felt okay. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like I got to straighten my arm. Like what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
So that's fun to play with, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
It's easier for me to do in an upper body. It's very, very hard for me to do lower body. Like barbell
yeah,
squats to failure, my
yeah.
midline will fail before my legs will.
Yep, yep. Um, yeah,
What about
lower
you?
body, that's something. So right now doing a good amount more endurance stuff. This week has been a off week because like whenever I have a Sunday game, it throws off
Mhm.
my whole routine of everything because then I rest on Monday, which is
Yep.
usually a day that I'll like get some strength work in or get a metcon in or something. Um,
Mhm.
but it's like rested Monday. Tuesday we had training with the team. Yesterday I went for a longer run. I say like longer for me at the moment at this body weight and this whatever it was just over 6 miles.
Yep.
Um, so got that in for a run. Today we've got training with the team. Tomorrow I'll do like some sort of upper body lift and we play on Saturday.
Nice.
Um, and so it kind of like depends based on my game schedule. We've got
Yep.
3 more regular season games in the season, and then we'll see where we go from there. There's a fall season. Not sure if I'll play because this season has taken up a good amount of time from family. Not sure if
Yeah.
I'll just hang up the boots completely for the second time. Uh, but for good this time. I was to dive into some psychology and stuff. Like I got back into playing because I had to prove something to myself, um,
Um,
and I hit a point where like I've proved to myself. Like I have played both seasons of semi-pro league and same league, 2 different teams, two
yeah.
completely different sets of players, um, and but like I've consistently performed at a level that I know that I can,
Yep.
and um,
And now it's a
I was like,
question of
okay,
whether the
like
time is
it's
worth.
well, right, is worth continuing to do it because for
Yeah.
me, it's like, you know, and speaking to coaches and whatnot, like I know that I probably still could if I wanted to,
Mhm.
like try and move up a level into like, I'm not going to be playing for like an MLS team or a, top league team or anything like that, but I probably could play a lower level pro league and play professional, which would have been an absolute dream come true.
Sure.
Um, but is that worth my time and effort away from family? Because it's like it's 3 hours every time that we train. It's half hour to the field, 2 hour training, half hour back. So that's 6 hours during the week.
Yeah.
And then games is more like, it's if it's a home game, like it's 2 hours for a game, but like you gotta be there, 90 minutes before to like get with the team, like tactical talk, warm up, formal walkout and everything, and
Yeah.
then clean up and breaking everything down, getting all your shit together. So it's probably more like 4.5 hours for a home game. versus an away game. Like if we play away, we had a game in Connecticut. It was like a 3 hour drive to get there. So it's like that's the whole day was just gone.
Yeah.
Um, and it's is that worth being away from my family and being away from Avery and my responsibilities and all that there? No. And I enjoy playing, and it's like if I can find some way to make it work, then great. But if not, then I won't lose any sleep over because I answered my question myself. Like
I was going to say, it
I
sounds like
always
you
had
got
that.
the answer right there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so then it's of course my brain goes to what's next. What's the next challenge? What's the next? Because I'm the type of person where like I can't not have something.
Right.
And so I have a very good friend of mine, Jared, who's a phenomenal endurance athlete. He just ran. He did the half marathon portion like on Marathon Monday.
Mhm.
And so he ran a half marathon at I think it was like a 7:19 pace per mile. So he's a very good endurance athlete. It's stupid. Um,
Get fucked.
uh, yeah. So, um, like I've really been enjoying the longer runs and everything, and it's something
Yeah.
that like I control the training schedule
Mm.
when it's something to do with me.
Yeah.
Um, and I've left the affiliate that I was at. It
Hmm.
just like wasn't schedule wise wasn't working, life wise wasn't working. So I was like,
Hmm.
I'll just train in the basement and go bonkers.
Yeah.
So I started to throw around the idea in my head of like doing some more endurance events, and having like some endurance sports be more that next challenge. Because I've competed in CrossFit, I've been a soccer player multiple times. I don't know. It's like kind of just playing around in my head with like the one thing I would love to do is start to get into triathlons. I think it'd be fun.
I think you're insane, but more power to you.
Thank you. I told Jared today we were talking. I told Jared today we were talking. So I was like, we should start to get into like some triathlons. And he was like, you realize the last time we swam, I almost drowned. I was like, yep, time to get better at it. And so we'll dive into that and have some fun. And I'll keep you guys updated as we're going. And definitely we'll start with a smaller one. But I told him today, I put it out there. I was like, my long term goal if we're gonna get into it because I can't do anything halfway is like I would love to complete just once. Would love to complete a full distance Ironman.
Well,
Which for those of you guys that don't know, a full Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, a 126 mile bike, 120, and some odd mile bike, 126 I think is the number, 126 mile bike, and then uh, a full marathon at the end, 26.2 mile run.
okay.
So we'll see.
I just completed 24 hours of working out, and
Yeah.
I know that what you're talking about will not take 24 hours, and I still have no interest in it. So, hats off to you, good sir. Um,
Well, we'll
if
see.
you've
We'll
been
see
playing
how we
along
go.
at if you've been playing along at home, let's all wish Kevin good luck on that one. And hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll come back whenever we can and come
Yeah.
back around for episode number 70 because that's how long we've been doing this, which is insane. Kevin, always a pleasure to
Yeah.
talk to you, and thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Peace out, everybody.